Welcome back, everyone. So today's recipe is going to be a bit of an interesting one. It's my go-to, my famous chocolate chips, but we're going to try to cook them on the grill outside. Try something a little different. We'll do a couple in the oven for control purposes and so we can compare, but essentially that. So my chocolate chip recipe over the years has undergone some significant changes and upgrades, and frankly, I'd put it up against any cookie that exists. No ego, honestly. Like, they're really, really amazing. So first step in that amazing process, if you will, is the brown butter, which we already made. So you could see here it's not melted, but not solid, somewhere in between. So essentially, I just let it sit on the counter for a few hours before I'm ready to make it. Or if I'm in a pinch, I can throw it in the fridge, let it solidify a little bit, and then take it out and kind of let it get up to room temp. But same day, easy enough just to throw it in a bowl and sit on the counter and do its thing. So you can see here, looks great, smells great. All right, so the cookie recipe itself is not necessarily mind-blowing in a sense. Nothing, let me rephrase. One of the ingredients I think sets it apart, but otherwise it is kind of standard. So it's a stick of butter, or what is probably about 95 grams or so, maybe 90 grams of butter once it's brown, but it's essentially one stick. We're going to use 75 grams of white sugar. I've got my scale out here. I have all my wet ingredients on this side as well, if you couldn't tell. A little over 180, but no big deal. And then I have 75 grams of brown sugar. And this is light brown sugar. You could use dark brown. I don't think it's going to make much difference here. All right, so I use my rubber spatula for everything here. So essentially just stirring everything together, creaming the butter and the sugar. It's not going to be perfect, but we want it to be, I guess, somewhat homogenized, where it almost looks wet, if you can see it there. There's no loose, like, sugar crystals, if you will. And then, again, this is super easy once you've done it a couple times. It's really just the kind of the special parts that set it aside and the special ingredients. 1 egg. Some people are going to say put the egg in, stir it in, then do the vanilla. I'm not doing that, so trying not to put another glove on real quick. Whatever vanilla extract you'd like, put it in. I use about 10 grams. The recipe says a teaspoon, but a long time ago, actually, credit where it's due, Bobby Flay, not like I'm a huge fan of his or anything, but on one of his food shows he was talking about he never skimps on vanilla when he's making anything, and ever since then I kind of went that way, and yeah, it's not going to make it taste bad. We don't want it to be too wet, but you can see here it's kind of, I don't know what you'd call that consistency, honestly. Almost a cake batter. So we have our, I was referred to as our wet. That's done. So the big game changer here, I don't know if there should be a drum roll or whatnot, but whole, not like you know my acronyms, but WW means whole wheat. I have a bunch of these I store all my flours in. Whole wheat flour is definitely what makes us stand out. Actually, there's a couple other things still to come, but whole wheat flour is the one thing that I would say really makes this cookie stand out pretty well. We're using 150 grams. It's essentially a cup and 2 tablespoons, if I'm remembering correctly. And in my opinion, my baking is supposed to be pretty exact. It's okay if things are off a gram or two, more or less. It's not gonna really make that big of a difference. We have our baking soda, half a teaspoon, which I think is about 3 grams, but let's see. 2, a little pinch more. Boop, boop. And then our salt, and this is just my standard, what we use in my house as a standard, but just pink Himalayan salt, and nothing fancy per se. I'm going to use a half a teaspoon of this as well, which I think is 3 grams, but let's see. Yep, 3 grams of that. And so everything is in the bowl. You do not want to whisk, so I use a rubber spatula here, and I'll see if I can, try not to make a mess. I essentially kind of do this wave motion with the whisk. You can see the way my wrist is moving, or the bowl itself. I'm trying to essentially like press the ingredients down. So kind of like pushing them together, if you will. I'm not necessarily stirring, because the goal here is to combine this as minimally as possible. So even here, there's some loose flour in the bowl, but we're good because we're gonna mix the cookies. We're gonna mix the chocolate chips in, so we'll have to stir a little bit more no matter what. So you could stir it all the way, but again, the goal here is to stir as little as possible, and that's because we don't want to form any gluten. These are cookies, not bread. Think of it as simply as that. So earlier I weighed out, nothing fancy, Nestle, cheap as they get for as much as I like to buy. Semi-sweet and milk chocolate. It's 175 grams each, although I think one of them I went a little over. Again, not a big deal. Worst case scenario here, and this has happened to me several times, I've made these cookies probably 100 batches, like easily, over the years. Sometimes you'll just have too many chocolate chips at the end. So one cookie will either be really chocolatey, or you'll just have a little left over you can't use. All right, so getting a bit of a close-up here just so you can see what I do. I used like to take my hand and just kind of, again, similar to what I was doing with the flour, kind of just push everything together. Feeling it makes me feel the dough itself, but then I can do things like this where I could just kind of pick it up and squeeze it and know that it's in decent shape. So we are pretty good here. Everything is combined. I have a couple options. We could put this in the fridge and let it solidify, then pull it out in a bit, make our cookies, or we're going to do what we're about to do, which is just make them right now. So, that being said, so I'm using the cup here solely because it's dirty with the brown butter, and I'm going to put the cookie in here and help weigh them out. Strongly suggest you use a scale when you're doing your cookies. However big you want to make them, that's kind of your business, but the scale really helps standardize them, especially when you have to make a lot. My go-to is 75 grams, but I've definitely made them as big as 100. It just depends. Usually for this batch of chocolate chips, just so you can see, I just have nothing fancy, just a kind of a toaster sheet here that I'm going to put them on before I put them in the fridge. 75 grams will make 10 cookies with this batch of chocolate chips. They're big, they're perfect. 19 minutes, like I have it down to a pretty good science. And I have to say, people seem to really like them. So that's pretty much that. We got 2 done. We're gonna keep going. But otherwise, it's kind of rinse and repeat at this point. Shouldn't take too much longer to do. All right, so kind of as I expected, this one has an insane amount of chocolate chips. It's probably half chocolate chips. Oh, I am genuinely shocked it's that close. So 73 is close enough. So I don't know how, but after probably 100 batches of these, somehow I got an extra one this time. All right, so here we go. I'm gonna put these in the fridge in a minute. Just a quick recap. Brown butter, that's one. Both white and brown sugar, whole wheat flour. And now I'm gonna save the last surprise for the very end. You have to put these in the fridge overnight. That's gonna make a massive difference. Even a couple nights, 3-4 nights would be good. Because there's eggs, I won't go any more than that. Just kind of, I don't like to chance it. But that's that. So we're gonna come back tomorrow. We're gonna bake these. We'll bake some in the oven, some on the grill. We'll see what happens. All right, we'll see you then. All right, welcome back. Glasses mode. I'm technically working, quote unquote, wink wink. We have our chocolate chip cookies. They've actually sat for a couple of days, so they're, I can't bang them on the phone, but that's the countertop. They're rock hard. I do sometimes try to make them a little more spherical, but I mean, like you can see, this one is kind of, I don't know what you want to call that, a little smushed on the side. Will it make a difference? Probably not, honestly. It's more just something I want to do. So that is done. So we have these 3. So I'm going to throw them in the oven here. Again, 350. 19 minutes. Yours might be 18 to 20. You know, work it down to a science. If you're doing the same recipe, same size cookies, it really will be that easy. So these are gonna go in. We're gonna get the grill nice and hot. See how that works out. All right. Last important point. I get the timer going. Make sure that you leave enough space. So my chocolate chip cookies, they're gonna be nice and plump, but when I do my Heath bar ones, they'll be flat. So I have to do less Heath bar cookies on a sheet tray than I do for chocolate chips. Anyway, you don't want them too close. Give a couple inches so they have room to spread out. See you in about 20. All right, we are outside, ready to grill some cookies. Let me get the grill turned on. And I'm not sure exactly what I'm gonna do yet, but I think we're gonna figure it out together. I think I'm just gonna do one side, get it nice and hot, and then we're gonna cook on the indirect side. Come on. There we go. All right, so I have 2 of the 3 burners on just to get the grill hot. Again, this is not a we need it at 650 kind of deal. Keeping the grill 350 is actually going to be kind of tricky, so I'm going to let it heat up, scrape off some of the gross stuff, get our cookies, see what happens. All right, let's take a little stroll. So it's been literally a minute since I turned the grill on, and we are at 350. You can see there on the dot. So I think we're going to turn off this burner, and I think some of today is going to be, you know, when you normally were baking, we don't want to open the oven up, but we're going to definitely need to do that, I think, for this operation. So I'm going to run inside, get the cookies, we'll get baking. All right, so just like we did for inside, I'm going to do 4. Actually, the grill is like right at 350. This could work out really great. I love to put these on the grill directly, but what I hope will be an obvious statement, there will be no cookies at the end because they'll fall right through the grate. So, yeah, without further ado, tray's too big. Of course. All right, we're gonna hope this is gonna work. Anyway, I think I'm actually the grill is getting cooler, of course. So, you know, we're just gonna wing it. We're gonna click. We'll click around. We'll be turning the burners on, off. You can see I'm getting worried already, getting a little frazzled. Yeah, I think that's about it. So stay tuned. We'll see what happens. Should be interesting. I'd like the grill to be a little warmer, so I think I'm gonna take a chance here and turn on this burner. Quickly turning into a catastrophe. I am so surprised. Let's try that one more time. It's so bright, I can't tell if it's lit. Oh my God, you kidding me? All right, so not going great so far, but oh, just burned my hand. Real stupid. This is ridiculous. So here's what we'd expect to see. We got about 2.5 minutes left on these. Wasn't obvious this is the oven. We're not outside, but yeah, I can tell these look perfect. So I expect nothing but perfection. The best part of making these so many times, forgive the oven song, is that I don't have any hesitation for a moment that these are done and perfect. And you can see, look pretty damn perfect to me. I'll get you in a little closer. So I hate this expression just because it sounds obnoxious, but the piece de resistance, if you will, what's gonna take these from just brown butter, brown and white sugar, the whole wheat flour. Before I do it, Morton's kosher salt. You need a thick, you know, if you look at the kernels or whatever we call these, they're pretty big. And you can see I'm definitely not stingy. It might seem like a crazy amount of salt, but I am telling you, These cookies are not to be trifled with. They are freaking phenomenal. Again, they were so good that I legitimately opened a home bakery at one point to sell them. Became a longer story for another day. But the salt, and I prefer Morton's. I think Diamond is another brand. Not shading at it anyway. I prefer Morton's. This is $4, and I mentioned how often I make cookies. I probably bought like 5 of these in a decade. So it's really great to have. It's gonna definitely set the cookie apart. And a little too hot to eat yet, but we'll give these about 10 minutes or so. Hello. While the grill cookies are finishing. Just thinking I've been talking to you for 5 minutes now. I really need to go check them. So without further ado, let's run outside. Turn the oven off. Oh my God. So we're at 450. They actually look pretty good. Hopefully you can see. So I'm debating. I think I'm going to turn that burner off for now. Again, this is not, the oven's definitely the way to go. This is more for fun. And hey, maybe we'll discover something new. I just heard a really creepy sound behind one of my grills, so I'm going to stop talking and pretend like there's not some animal that's about to attack me. All right, so anyway, I'd say, it is toasty. I'd say we have about 10 more minutes. I don't think I really need to keep talking to you over and over, but I'm pretty excited. I've never done this before, and as I mentioned, I've definitely made these cookies more than anything I've baked, cooked, you name it. If we're talking individual cookies, at least, I've definitely made it more than anything else by a long shot. So at this point, let's just let it rip. We'll see you in about 10. Fingers crossed. I think they're actually going to come out pretty good. The question's going to be, is the effort worth it? And will they get that? The grill makes that charred food taste amazing. Obviously, they're not going directly on, so will it be a factor? Stay tuned. All right, it's that time. We are officially calling them done. I mean, kind of a boring statement to make, but they look exactly like they look from the oven. Having made these so many times, I mean, they're done. No question about it. Well, there's not a whole lot to be done at this point. Do we did the last time? We're going to break out the salt. It is important to salt them now, like when they're fresh out of the oven. Also, I will typically grab way too much. That's okay. Don't use it all. A healthy coating is plenty. You don't want them to be salt, not like a fish that gets baked in a layer of salt. That would be kind of gross. All right, we're done. So the hardest part now, we're gonna have to give these about 10 minutes, and we'll come and do a taste test, see how it all worked out. All right, gang, here we are. We have our, make sure this isn't too hot. This is like maybe 3 minutes out of the grill. Like, they look great, but if you look real, let's see if I can actually pick one of these up yet. Oh, it's gonna be nice and soft, so. Okay, not a great sign. So a couple of immediate observations. Now, one, you can see this one is significantly lighter than this. This is the oven. Not only is that lighter, but yeah, it's black. So again, it was a test. Anyway, broke a little piece off the oven, and I've had this so many times, it's kind of boring. Oh, really freaking good cookie. Telling you, that salt, even if you don't do the brown butter, whole wheat flour, do the whole wheat flour, definitely worth it. But if I did 2 things here, salt, whole wheat flour. Try one of these, see if they're all burnt. It's funny because they're definitely a bit underdone. I don't even know if I can pick them all up. This one's not as bad, so I'm gonna actually try that one. And that could have all depended on just where it was on the grill, because if it was closer to the fire, obviously it would have been more melted. All right, no idea. I'll pause and come back in a little bit. I'm only saying that because if I look at these, it's obvious which is which. I want to do a blind taste test of sorts because, to be perfectly honest, I didn't notice a difference at all. Now in the end, that means I'm not making them on the grill ever because it's so much easier in the oven and they look better and they come out easier. Timing, 19 minutes again, super easy. But these were good. So let's put a pin in this. We're gonna come back in, we'll say shortly, 20, 30 minutes, let them cool off a little bit, solidify. We'll give one last taste test, but initial reactions, I'm glad I did it. And that goofy smile means probably never gonna do it again, but it was fun. I'm glad I tried it. Well, we'll come back. We'll do one quick last taste test and then we'll wrap this up. Thanks for sticking around. Been about half an hour. Let's give them another taste test. So you can see our control one. It's a lot easier to handle, which is nice. I like the tops to be brown, so that's why I know even if the grilled ones are good, just so you can cook them better, they're not gonna, just the appearance is a little disappointing. Ah, it's a good cookie. Y'all really gotta make these, they're so good. Alright, now I'm gonna retry the grill. I'm gonna try the same one because it's not as burnt as the last one. Still nice and melty though. I only need to finish chewing. So, definitely a fun experiment. Was it worth it? Nah. That's why I only did 4 outside, so I still have a few left I can make in the fridge. I'm glad I did it. I hope you enjoyed it. And sometimes it's just fun to be creative and try new stuff. And worst case, we waste a few cookies. Not the end of the world. All right. Thanks for hanging in. If you're still there, glad to be back. See you next week.